Hey, good afternoon, friends. Today is Sunday, October the 20th, 2024, and the time now is 2:30 p.m. Now, I want to make a brief statement or a brief comment about the situation between South Africa and Taiwan regarding South Africa asking Taiwan to remove its embassy, or as they say, its de facto embassy from South Africa's capital, Pretoria, to Johannesburg, the economic/financial capital of South Africa. Now, friends, you are watching the playlist series, The Trends and Headlines in Geopolitics. Once again, you are watching the playlist series, The Trends and Headlines in Geopolitics, and this is episode 15. I want to apologize for my voice. I do have cold. I've been going through a whole lot of changes with the flu season, whether we are talking about coughing and sneezing. As of now, I'm doing a lot better than how I did last week. Now, I'm going to continue. Regarding the situation between South Africa and Taiwan. So, South Africa has asked that Taiwan remove its de facto embassy, or the Taipei Liaison Office, from Pretoria, the capital city of South Africa, to Johannesburg, which is known as the economic/financial capital of South Africa. Now, Taiwan has made an accusation that the move by South Africa is a result of South Africa bowing to pressure from China because of the influence of China. Yes, China is said or is known to have been influential in Africa due to its economic might and the fact that it is granting loans and it is investing in Africa in various ways. Perhaps it could be the case, perhaps not. So, on the other side of this, China has applauded South Africa for its move, asking Taiwan to remove the Taipei Liaison Office, or quote unquote the de facto embassy of Taiwan, from Pretoria, South Africa's capital, to Johannesburg. Now, once again, China continues to stress the whole idea of the one China policy, which is the idea that even though Taiwan is a self-administrative entity or land, that it is still part of China. Now, there are many who may agree with this on the international stage, and there are those who may disagree with this. But what is so interesting is that even in the United States, as much as the United States continue to talk about its commitment, so to speak, to Taiwan, and that it is going to arm Taiwan against China, the United States actually does have a one China policy where, on the record, on paper, it is abiding by a one China policy, while verbally, internationally, in terms of the tit for tat global politics, how it is played, how the businesses of international relations are conducted, the United States doesn't subscribe to the one China policy. Now, as for South Africa, I do believe that yes, perhaps it may be because of China's pressure, but also this could be because of what is happening in international relations with the emergence and the expansion of BRICS that is becoming powerful. BRICS, I do believe, is becoming more than just an international alternative to the White West, the conceptual Western alliance and institution, but also it is going to be an economic arm, an alternative which will have some militaristic implication as a means to protect and defend itself against the West, to basically put the West on check or in check. Perhaps I may be wrong, perhaps I may be right. But please, my friends, tell me what you think. But I do believe that South Africa has the right to play the game. This is a game that even Nigeria should be playing. Now, we are seeing the emergence of BRICS, the expansion of BRICS as an alternative power, economic power, to the West, to the conceptual West. And this basically has implication in terms of what is happening in the world today, the geopolitical divide. Whether we are talking about the situation in Ukraine, where the West is fighting Russia using Ukrainian bodies, or the situation in the Middle East, whether we are talking about Israel's action in Gaza, the West Bank, or southern Lebanon, or the potential war between Israel and Iran. And as of now, we are still waiting for Israel's retaliation against Iran's retaliation. We don't know how this is going to unfold. Yes, there are those who are calling for Israel to attack Iranian nuclear facilities, and Iran has been making warning. And there are talks out there that Iran actually does have nuclear bombs. We don't know. But now, in terms of the greater things concerning Taiwan, Taiwan has basically, at least it seems, because of its relationship with the United States and the West, has basically represented itself as a supporter of the Western cause against Russia, which South Africa has not condemned Russia. And South Africa has been the leading country taking Israel to court, to the ICJ. So the situation is very interesting. But in terms of Taiwan, perhaps the leadership in Taiwan is watching. Because to be honest, we are seeing what's happening in Ukraine, where the United States and the rest of the West have failed tremendously to protect Ukrainians. We are seeing, quote unquote, as they themselves have said, as Western thinkers have said, white people with blonde hair and blue eyes are being killed by Russia or Russians. And the West has not done anything about it in terms of they themselves sending troops to fight the Russians. Taiwan has to be very careful and very strategic in terms of how it engages with China. Because if the rest of the world are not supporting the West against Russia, definitely it is going to be the same. The rest of the world will not support the West against China, especially given what the Chinese have been doing in terms of their financial and economic support or influence throughout the world. Taiwan is going to be alone. Yes, I mean that Taiwan is going to be alone in that, of course, it is going to be supported by the West because the West right now is very much eager to checkmate China, to prevent the rise of China, which is a threat to them economically and militarily. China has become the formidable threat to the Western dominance. However, Taiwan is not going to get the rest of the world, especially the global south, in its backing. That is because of the might of China. China is very big, and the fact that the West, as of now, cannot defeat Russia, whose economy is about 8 times or 9 times smaller than that of China. This whole thing, it is also about economics, because countries have to eat. People, citizens have to eat. Russia's manufacturing capability is much smaller. It's dwarfed compared to China. If the West cannot contain Russia, definitely it cannot contain China. The rest of Africa is not just going to go against China. The rest of the Caribbean or Latin America is not just going to go against China. And the Middle East as well. So we are in a very serious situation which could be bad for Taiwan. Now, in terms of China, China is much close to Taiwan. As much as the West could be very much happy to go and fight the Chinese, at the end of the day, it is Asia, East Asia, it is Taiwan or China that going to receive destruction. And Western countries will go back, or Western leaders and people and soldiers will go back to their country that are going to be untouched. And this is one of the reasons why I believe that many Asian leaders do not want war in Asia against China. But in terms of South Africa, I like the fact that they are showing strength. Perhaps it could be bad for them, but it is the kind of strength that the rest of Africa needs to show. And Nigeria, the giant of Africa, should be showing such strength. Egypt, Ethiopia, and so on, Kenya, should be showing strength and standing up to the rest of the world and making Africa proud. Perhaps Taiwan and South Africa can find a way to resolve the situation, to get the situation behind them, to manage the situation. However, I do think that the Taiwanese, yes, perhaps they might already come to the consideration that as of now, China, the People's Republic of China, is much bigger, much larger. In terms of its influence, it's becoming much more powerful than the West or the Western countries individually or the West as a bloc. And given at a time where even the United States, despite all that it says, cannot come out and say, you know what, Taiwan got to be, and continue to maintain a one China policy. Perhaps the Taiwanese have to realize when push comes to shove, the United States is going to look out for itself. Now, in terms of South Africa, I don't know whether this situation was a move by China, a pressure by China, or whether South Africa is just showing strength. However, if it is just strength, it is something that many Africans need to welcome. Because in this case, Africans can say that an African country is demonstrating strength and it is standing up for itself and standing up for a perspective or a policy that many Africans do believe should be implemented. Now, my friends, I am going to end here. I want to hear what you think, so please tell me what you think. But I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, and most especially, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace.